It is ready.
Great day. I know I do a lot of my reviews now over on the Beauty Broadcast Express channel, but today I have something kind of additional to wrap up this past week, and it's talking about my whole electric challenge and a full review on the Urban Decay electric palette. Maybe you've been keeping up with this challenge on my Instagram, blog, Facebook, wherever I can post, I've been posting, but every day this past week I've done a different look with shades from this palette. And my friend David, he's a makeup artist. I've talked about him a lot. I think he's just fantastic. He had heard on a Beauty Broadcast Live that I was debating getting this, and he's like, don't get it unless you're gonna like make a point to use every shade in it, like, you know, for a continuous amount of time. And I thought that's a really good idea. And he challenged Kristen Game to do this as well because he's familiar with Kristen's videos and her love of taupe. So we've been doing these electric palette looks all week, and I know many of you have as well, because just looking at the electric challenge hashtag on Instagram, there's like well over 100 pictures on there now, so I think this is so cool. And the whole idea was use at least one shade a day, but by the end of the week you have to have used all the different colors in the electric palette in your look. And for every look on my blog, beautybroadcast.net, I did like a step-by-step, like took a picture at every point in the eye makeup process, so you can follow this, and if you want to recreate the looks or just see how it all came together, definitely check that out. Not that you need me to point this out, but this palette is filled with bright shades, different finishes as well. You've got shades like Revolt that are like a straight up sparkly color, and then there are some shimmery shades that do come off kind of metallic on the lids. A few of those that I noticed really showing up with a lot of shimmer are shades like Fringe, this teal, also Jilted, Urban, and Freak down here at the bottom. These three all give off kind of a metallic finish, but then there are other shades that you look closely at and you can see some shimmer, but once you apply them on the eyes, they come off more matte. And that would be shades like Gonzo and Slow Burn and Thrash down here. They kind of come off matte on the eyes. Chaos and Savage are probably like satin finish type colors, but again, they look pretty matte on the eyes as well. But something I've loved discovering about this palette as I've been using it is how some of these colors, while they look so distinctly, you know, like purple or blue, they can really take on a life of their own on the eyes when you start working them in with other shades, blending them on top of something lighter, mixing any two of these together. It's like they're kind of complex, and I really like that it's not just, you know, a bunch of flat colors, but the shimmer that certain ones contain actually give them a very interesting effect on the eyes. And a lot of times when I review palettes, I look at them from the standpoint of, you know, how well could you throw this in your travel bag and take this and this would be all you would need for your eye looks. And this is really not that kind of palette. I actually see the most value in this as like an accent type of piece. Chances are you've already got a lot of neutrals in your collection, and then this is the thing you can throw in and create different pairings. Even like other metallic colors are really fun. Like taking a gold and pairing it with any of these different shades is such a pretty, you know, twist on this palette that the palette alone doesn't give you. You can completely, you know, dig into your own stuff and create so many different combos. So with every day of this electric challenge, I kind of tried to take a little different approach. So day one, you know, utilized a couple of really bright colors in the palette, the Gonzo Blue and Jilted. And this showed me just how beautifully shades in this palette can overlap and start to take on totally different looks. With some pictures that I have of this look, I feel like that berry color almost looks like a neon light, like reflecting up onto the blue eyeshadow look. Like it really takes on an interesting twist. Then for day two, I kind of took inspiration from the type of look I like to do, but it's more toned down typically. I really like peach and plum paired together, and so here's orange and a really, really bold purple put together, and I just loved seeing how this orangey shade kind of faded up, and I put it on top of a yellowish orange base actually. And so as this color faded up and wasn't on top of the base, it took on almost more of a reddish orange look. So I love that. I just really think those contrasting shades are fun together. And I love purple on the lower lash line in a lot of different circumstances, so I really did like it with that look as well. So after going with a couple of days that were like all out bright all over the lids, on the third day I went with a smoky look that incorporated some pops of color. So this is a great example of how just using your basic neutrals and pairing them with this palette can work so well. I mean, throughout the week I've been bringing in like lighter highlight type shades, but here I also brought in just a classic matte black, and that was really the root of this look. And then at different levels I added the pops. So your brightest level is like that neon greenish yellow around the inner corner, and then that little fleck of green on the outside, and then a very, very subtle blend of blue up on the top border of the look. Then on day 4 I chose to go with a softer look because I think the biggest misconception about this palette when you look at it is that everything you do with it has to be full-on bright, shout it from the rooftop colors all the time, because it doesn't have to be. And with the addition of a metallic gold shade on my lid, I felt like it totally softened up an entire look. So I used some of the teal color called Fringe on the outside. I gave it a little edge with a little different technique. I used the tape trick on the outer corner to really get a hard edge on that shadow, and then blended up above it with some pink. By the way, that shade Savage is not messing around. I thought it was going to be a lot lighter than it was, but it really is a bold pink color. And so after day 4, I actually had used every shade in this palette. So today it was just like, okay, I can do whatever I want, I guess. And so I chose to work in a couple of shades that I thought were maybe like kind of background type colors earlier in the week, and I could really make them pop today. And Urban is a fabulous shimmery purple. I love it. When you put it on top of like a lighter base, which is what I've done here, you get such a pretty lilac tone coming out of that. I mean, it could be a very soft pastel look if you really just wanted to use it lightly, but it can also be very intense. I used it more intense earlier in the week as a straight up like liner type of color. So I love that purple. And then I also used Chaos, which is the really true royal blue in this palette, and I used that as my lower eyeliner, and then I blended down beneath that with more of the purple, so kind of a dual two-colored liner look on the lower lash line. But as you'll see in the step-by-step on my blog, what I pulled in to use alongside this was actually the Urban Decay Naked Basics palette, because you know, I worked in a little bit more of a neutral on the inner part of the crease, and these shades are all great as highlights or your lighter colors. So again, this is a great accent type of palette. I think it does play nicely with a lot of different shadows that you probably already own. In terms of what I really would recommend having alongside this, basic like matte black and matte white cream shadows, whether you're using them from, you know, little pots or from sticks, I think those are really useful because it can totally mess with the way these shades come off. You can lighten them up and deepen them up with those kinds of bases. And also just, you know, basic highlight shades, basic neutral crease colors. Before I ever bought this palette, I remember thinking things like, would I ever use that? Or would I really feel like I was getting my money's worth out of this palette? But I think what this week has taught me with every passing look is that this palette's a lot of fun, and it's very, very versatile. Don't just take every shade in here at face value. I mean, I can definitely tell you what you see is what you get in a sense, because these colors swatch out very true to color. But at the same time, they can do so much more with various combinations of any of these, or with pairings with other neutral shadows. And several of these metallic shades like Fringe, Jilted, Urban, I mean, those are probably some of the best textures I've ever experienced from Urban Decay. The shadows themselves are so intense, but you put your finger into them to swatch them, and they feel like borderline creamy. They're so rich. For me, this is something where now, even more than when I started, I look at these colors and I think of them each as individuals, as opposed to something you have to use all together all the time. The brush I definitely did get use out of as I went throughout the week, primarily this little detailed side too. That was really great for small areas of liner or getting around your inner corner. Some people have said, well, I've heard the shadow stain. I have not had any issue at the end of the day getting these removed. I don't know if primers and bases affect that kind of thing, but my Equate daily face wash cloths that I dampen with water and then they suds up, take off all my makeup, including eye makeup. I experienced no change with these. And I gotta tell you guys, this challenge, this was not anything sponsored by Urban Decay or brought up by anybody outside of, you know, like just talking to Kristen and David and stuff. It was purely, you know, a fun makeup idea among friends, and I love that. I love that this was not something, some kind of campaign that we were paid to, you know, play into or do something like that. It was just purely for the fun and love of makeup that we did this, and I had such a good time. I enjoyed this so much more than I even thought. Getting up, starting each day and thinking, okay, what am I gonna do today? You know, what shades am I gonna pull together and create a look with? So thanks to my pal David for kind of bringing this up to begin with, and for Kristen doing this challenge too, and everybody who posted such great pictures on Instagram of their electric palette looks. So I guess to wrap up my review on this palette, as someone who was basically not even really planning to purchase this because I didn't think I'd use it, I really turned a corner, I think, in terms of seeing these shades as wearable and seeing how they can work so nicely into a lot of the things that I already have. So yeah, I would recommend it. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time and your excitement in this challenge with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.